We've talked before about whether we believe that Donald Trump is actually anti-abortion, or as he describes it, pro-life. He's been pro-choice most of his life. He told the story about how his mind was changed on the abortion issue after someone he knew decided not to have an abortion, and it turned out to be a really great kid that Donald Trump likes. Fine, right? I mean, the specifics of Trump's story don't matter as much to me as whether we are going to see hardline abortion legislation passed because of those emboldened by the election of Donald Trump. And we are seeing exactly that. There's an Indiana lawmaker, State Rep Kurt Nisley, who said a couple of days ago that he plans to introduce a bill which would outlaw and criminalize all forms of abortion in Indiana. Now, you might be waiting for me to say something like, except in cases of, or after X number of weeks. But no, that is not the proposal that Kurt Nisley says he will put forward. It will be just a ban on abortion. It will be called the Protection at Conception Bill or Act. And this will be happening in January when the General Assembly convenes at the same time that President-elect Donald will be sworn in. Now, under this proposal, all abortions would be a crime. Prosecutors could file charges against anybody who participates in the procedure. The Goshen Indiana Republican saying you would treat the death of an unborn child like you would any other human being. He also said it's time to bring Roe v. Wade to its logical conclusion. My goal is to deregulate abortion right out of existence in Indiana. Think about that for a second. He's calling the ban of all abortions deregulation. This is a trick that the Republican Party has been using for decades. The plan would delete regulations permitting abortion. Therefore, according to this harebrained, backwards, bizarro world logic, it is deregulation. Think about that. You're making a government decision to ban a particular medical procedure and prosecute those involved with it. That is regulation. That is a government restriction, Pat. But these backwards right-wingers are framing this as if they are going to deregulate by making abortion illegal.
It's like they're trying to use certain buzzwords that will poll well, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at Donald Trump's recent 60 Minutes interview, he seems to demonstrate no understanding of the consequences of overturning Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
Sure, it would be up to the states, but he says that people who wanted to still have abortions could just go to another state. A lot of people can't afford that. A lot of people don't have the means to do that.
Donald Trump can't imagine really any world where you can't just travel from one state to another. I mean, the guy visited 6 states a day with his personal Boeing 757 during the entire campaign. He can't really imagine what it means to just go to another state. Even in places like Texas, large states, without going to another state, you could have to drive 8 or 10 hours. Or, of course, if you don't have a car, then you've got to buy a bus ticket and blah, 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 blah. There's just no concept whatsoever of what this would actually mean. And the sort of good news is that assuming Roe v. Wade stands, this Indiana anti-abortion bill would basically definitely be considered unconstitutional. We ruled unconstitutional. The problem is that conservative activists are very emboldened by Donald Trump's election and his promise to put judges on the Supreme Court who might overturn Roe v. Wade, that they acknowledge, yeah, right now it would be tough to pass something like this. But after we get those changes on the Supreme Court and Roe v. Wade is done away with, these types of abortion bans could actually pass. Trump has promised to appoint anti-abortion judges to the high court, and this could be truly a disaster. And it really appears that Indiana Republicans are not going to be satisfied until they can go back 70 years nearly to the 1950s in more ways than one. And of course, the logical thing would be, fine, Republicans will get rid of abortion, but they'll increase the budgets for things like education and contraception and foster care and welfare to compensate for the increased number of children, right? Wrong. Of course they wouldn't do that because Republicans care about the fetus, but not about the child. And we've heard this time and again. We've made this critique time and again. We know how to reduce the number of abortions that people seek out, that women seek out. You have comprehensive sex education. You have access to contraception, which we know prevents people from getting pregnant. And being pregnant is one of the prerequisites to having an abortion. And they refuse to do it. They continue to refuse to do it because this is about politics, and this is about fundraising, and this is about pandering to the most extreme religious right elements of Trump and the Republican base and electorate. This is not actually about making decisions that are good for people and good for women and good for parents and good for kids. We know that. And this is going to be a real danger during the upcoming President Donald administration. Today's program is made possible in part by FrameBridge, which allows you to custom frame artwork of yours. I tried this the other day. I have a really great picture that I took in Argentina on my last trip there. And I uploaded the picture to FrameBridge. I was able to select the matting. I was able to select the frame itself. I'm pretty clueless on this, so I more than likely should have taken advantage of the free FrameBridge advisory service, which will actually give you some suggestions of the right matting and color and frame, etc. But I didn't do that. And I'm optimistic that it is still going to turn out really, really well. If you're not able to upload your artwork to FrameBridge, you can actually physically send it in. That also applies if you want to have like a jersey or some other kind of flag or memorabilia framed. They use real wood moldings, acid-free mat board, foam board, etc. And they also have prices starting at $39, and shipping is all free. You can go to framebridge.com and use promo code Pakman. That's framebridge.com, promo code Pakman, Pakman, and you will save an extra 15% off of your first order. Check it out.